Part 64. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhezhi. Chapter 632. Lu Zhenjie was brutally rushed to the guest room. Holding the small pillow that Jinli gave him, he sat cross-legged on the bed in the guest room. Jinli thought he was doubting life. But this Pixiu has a big smile on his face. Jinli. He sighed, and stretched out his hand towards the void, as if Su was holding something. You still came to me. After rejoicing, Lu Zhenjie began to sort out his more than 20 years of experience in this world. The unimportant 20 years ahead were directly swept over by him and ignored. From meeting Jinli was the real beginning of his life in his mind. He looked carefully all the way, and the more he looked, the more he said. Stupid. The mortal who reincarnated himself can be so stupid. And my childhood self, equally stupid. If you pass by Lu's father's guest room at this time, you can hear his sad sigh. Thank you so much for the face. He knew better than the reincarnated Lu Zhenjie and the 3,000-year-old cub, Lu Zhenjie, the importance of this face when he wanted to capture a fish. Thinking about it, he couldn't help but start to feel sleepy. The cub's body is so fragile that it can fall asleep anytime, anywhere. He sighed in his heart, and he didn't know, when will this kind of life end? After falling asleep, Lu Zhenjie was still thinking in a daze. If he was in his adult form now, it would be much easier to catch a certain little silly fish. Asterisk. Jinli was woken up by the sound of knocking on the door. Someone outside the door was knocking on the door, and it was very rhythmic. After 3 beats, take a break, and then continue to shoot. Lan Ting would never do such a thing. So, is it the man who degenerated into the body of a cub who slept in the guest room last night? Lan Ting also came over when she heard the movement, and what she saw was the young lady in a small black robe knocking on the door with a straight face. When she saw Lu Zhenjie's clothes, she was at a loss for a second. Where did the home clothes on this young master come from? It's quite old-fashioned. But now this is not the point. She hurried over to stop him. Lu, young master, Jinli came back late last night. She must be very tired, let her sleep a little longer. Lu Zhenjie looked up at her, wondering, is she tired? Facing those silver-gray eyes, Lan Ting took a breath. Such beautiful eyes. However, this color, could it be that the young master is of mixed race? That's not the point. She patted Piaofi's thoughts away again, and said softly, that's right, you fell asleep on the road yesterday, and Jinli didn't sleep. The trumpet Lu Zhenjie thought for a while, then let go of her hand, then let her continue to sleep, and I'll come find her when she wakes up. As he said that, he was about to go back to the guest room where he slept. Lan Ting was still a little strange. Didn't the young master sleep with Jinli last night? Why are you outside? Seeing him walking to the left, she quickly said, Hey, young master, would you like some breakfast? Lu Zhenjie shook his head, solemnly, I'll eat after Jinli wakes up. He continued to walk to his room, and behind him, with a click, the door of Jinli's room opened. Lu Zhenjie turned his head quickly and was a little happy to see Jinli. Jinli, wake up. Jinli came out, picked up Lu Zhenjie with one hand, went back to the room, closed the door with a bang, and put him down roughly. All in one go. The little Lu Zhenjie was a little confused. Lan Ting, who was shut outside the door, was also a little confused. The little fairy fish who didn't wake up scratched her hair, a little irritable. What are you doing in the morning? Lu Zhenjie seemed taken aback by her. He wanted to pout, but felt that it was very unmanly, so he stared stubbornly, a little wronged. I'm so hungry. 4 more. A boyfriend during the day, a boyfriend at night, happy, smiley face, see you tonight. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhezhi. Chapter 633. Jinli. She looked suspiciously at the young lady in front of her who was as tall as her waist. Lugenja, she called his name seriously. The trumpet Lugenja was still aggrieved, and replied angrily, "Why? Jinli, don't try to lie to me, are you ashamed to pretend to be a child?" Lugenja. His silver grey eyes looked at Jinli in confusion, not quite understanding what she was talking about. Jinli looked at him quietly for a few seconds. It was clean and clear inside. She was defeated. "Damn it," she muttered, "what the hell is going on?" So, after the normal pixie woke up last night, he returned to 3,000 years old. Jinli covered her forehead with a headache. At this time, a clear grunt sounded in the room. Jinli lowered her head. Little Jingtai's ears turned red unnaturally. He clutched his stomach and turned his head away, looking very embarrassed. "And a little cute." "No, it's not a little cute, it's very cute." Most of the irritability in Jinli's heart disappeared in an instant. Come to think of it, it's no big deal. What's bothering her? 3,000 years old is 3,000 years old, such a beautiful pixie, it is not a loss to raise it. As Jinli thought about it, the rest of her irritability disappeared. She really is a big-hearted little fairy. Turning around in circles, changed into new clothes, and performed a cleaning technique. By the way, she took the initiative to say, "Are you hungry? Let's go, I'll take you to have breakfast." Lugenja let out a muffled yes. He was still a little down. Jinli knelt down and called his name, "Lugenja." Xiao Zheng looked up at her. "Why?" Something soft landed on his forehead. He widened his eyes and stretched out his hand to touch the place where he was kissed. You. Jinli smiled and said, "Don't be unhappy about the blessings from Fairy Jinli. No matter how many people in the heavens can't ask for it." Lugenja. He was not unhappy, but his face was red and his ears were red. Lan Ting, who was standing outside, was a little worried when she saw the door open. Jinli led a blushing young master out. "Do you have breakfast, dear Lan Ting Ting?" Jinli winked at her. "Ah. Yes," Lan Ting said quickly. As she walked downstairs, she looked back at young Master Lu, who was obediently held by Jinli. What a good young master. She brought breakfast to the table, and looked at the young lady who was sitting across from her and eating obediently. He doesn't cry or make trouble, and his gestures are very elegant and beautiful. Lan Ting felt that her position was not so firm. Although the identity of the young master is a problem, but, he is really good looking. Can't hate it at all. She was still thinking. Lugenja, who lowered his head and ate obediently, raised his head, and looked at her coldly with a pair of silver grey eyes. "What are you doing looking at me?" For a moment, Lan Ting thought that the person sitting opposite her was Father Lu. And it was Lu's father who was not in front of Jinli. Indifference, alienation, aloofness. Lan Ting shuddered lingling and withdrew her gaze. Is it really Lu's father's own son? Even the atmosphere is the same. Cute or something, it really is an illusion. Seeing this scene, Jinli took a look at Lugenja. Don't be cruel to Lan Ting, and she won't have anything to eat in the future. Lugenja. He looked back and snorted softly. He didn't care about anyone except Jinli. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiao Zheji. Chapter 634. After breakfast, Jinli took Lugenja upstairs. She told him about his life in the world. Lugenja was stunned. You said, I have been in this world for more than 20 years, and I still have a human identity? And my parents? Jinli nodded. Lugenja, it's ridiculous. He has no impression of these. Jinli thought for a while, grabbed the hand of the trumpet Lugenja, and sent him all the messages in her mind about the human version of Lu Zhenjie. Lu Zhenjie. Jinli told him, "You are saying that you are on vacation, but the vacation will end one day. The Lu family is your property, and this is your career in the human world. You've got to deal with this," she told him. 3,000-year-old baby Lu Zhenjie. He was dumbfounded. He doesn't know how to deal with company affairs. Looking at him like that, Jinli also felt that he was unreliable, but she didn't think it was a big problem. It's okay, just turn into an adult Lu Zhenjie, and just be a mascot in the Lu family. Even if he doesn't know anything, there is a real Pixio sitting there, keeping Lu smooth sailing and improving to a higher level. Pixio attracts wealth, not just talking about it. This problem is solved. Jinli looked down at the little black robe on Lu Zhenjie's body, and made a decision. Then, "I'm fine today, so I'll take you shopping and buy you some clothes." Lu Zhenjie glanced down at his little robe, and said, "I can change clothes by myself." "Jinli, just save the little bit of divine power you have left." She took Lu Zhenjie to the largest shopping mall around. Here, Jinli really felt the joy of shopping for the first time. Zhengtai Lu Zhenjie is simply a walking shelf of children's clothes. There is nothing unsightly when worn on him, even better than what is worn on a model. Small suits, jeans, beach looks, overalls, sitting on the sofa, Jinli looked at Lu Zhenjie, who came out again and again, his eyes shining. "Looks good, looks so good." When Lu Zhenjie arrived at the back, he had already learned to be lazy. He carried the clothes, went to the fitting room, cast a small spell on himself to directly transform the clothes onto his body, and then sat and rested for a minute or two before going out. "Perfect. I think it's okay, Sister Jinli." When Jinli glanced at the next store, Lu Zhenjie firmly stopped her. Joke. He had already scanned more than a dozen sets of clothes just now, and Jinli didn't take them by himself, so he left a contact information and address for them to be delivered to his home. Lu Zhenjie felt that if he tried again, he would fall asleep again, tired. It is more tiring than practicing spells. Okay, Jinli still felt a little regretful. Her cell phone rang. It was Sister Cheng. Probably because he knew the news that she had returned to China, and said that he would arrange for her to act as an endorsement. In addition, he asked her if she had any script arrangements in the near future. Jinli replied a few words and hung up the phone. Lu Zhenjie tilted his head and looked at her. "What is a manager? What is an endorsement?" Jinli led him to a dessert shop. The two sat down and waited for something, while Jinli explained her work. Lu Zhenjie frowned after hearing this. He looked at Jinli. "Do you want to earn money to support yourself? It sounds exhausting. Otherwise, stop being a star and I can support you." He pointed to himself proudly. "I can make untold amounts of money just by waving my hand, which can make you live well. 6 more, there is no such thing today. I have something to go out for a whole day tomorrow. The update will be at night and there may be less, please let Ang know in advance. Then, at the end of this month, there may be a small update, depending on whether the author is stuck ==. Finally, ask for a monthly ticket. Good night. The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess." Author, Su Xiao Zhaji. Chapter 635. Jinli. She looked at Lu Zhenjie curiously, and said, "You are still you after all." Lu Zhenjie looked at her suspiciously. "What do you mean?" Jinli thought for a while and said, "The Lu Zhenjie in the world, when he first saw me, said the same thing. However, just about the same." She added, "It's much easier for you to say it than him." The little Lu Zhenjie snorted, as if he was not too satisfied with that human being himself. He followed up and asked, "Then did you agree?" Jinli snorted, "What do you think?" The small version of Lu Zhenjie was serious. "A human being dares to say such a thing, you must refuse." Jinli looked at him approvingly. "Not bad. Lu Zhenjie raised his head to look at her. What about now? Do you want me to support you? Jinli laughed, and couldn't help but reached out and rubbed his head. Why do you think that if I reject the adult version of Lu Zhenjie, I will agree to you? Lu Zhenjie said disdainfully, I'm the mythical beast Pixiu, how can a mere human be able to compare with him? Jinli. He never expected that after his ex-boyfriend became smaller, his heart also became smaller. In the past, I just ate other people's jealousy, but now, I even started to eat my own vinegar. It was terrible. She dealt with him casually. What is my identity, little koi fairy? Do I still need to be raised by others? After thinking about it, Lu Zhenjie felt that it made sense. But he didn't quite understand. If this is the case, why do you have to work so hard like those humans? Speaking of this, the little fairy is also a little sad. She sighed, it's a long story. So she didn't bother to say, and chose the most simple and crude operation among gods, sense teleportation. In just a few seconds, an extra memory appeared in Lu Zhenjie's mind. So, if you want to restore your strength now, you have to collect the likes of these humans, Lu Zhenjie said. Jinli nodded. The little Lu Zhenjie sighed, it's so pitiful. Jinli. She also felt that she was quite pitiful. But now, looking at this little doubting in front of him, with an old-fashioned look on his chubby face, he immediately smiled. Before Lu Zhenjie could react, she quickly reached out her hand, pinched the other's exquisite smiling face, then let go before he turned his face, and said with a smile, you are no better than me, little cute little pixie who is 3,000 years old. At least I found a way to recover my visual strength. How about you? When will you recover your divine power and return to the heaven? Lu Zhenjie. Don't ask, just look dumbfounded. Asterisk. After eating dessert, Jinli took Lu Zhenjie to buy some small things like shoes and accessories. In the end, at Lu Zhenjie's firm request, he reluctantly made the return trip. Actually, there's a cool children's glasses shop over there. She tried to persuade the young lady beside her. Lu Zhenjie was slumped on the seat next to Jinli. What is sitting upright has long since ceased to exist. He slumped on the seat very uncomfortably. Seeing Jinli's appearance, he couldn't help stretching out his hand to signal her to come closer. I have something to say. Jinli leaned over. Lu Zhenjie gritted her teeth with her. If you don't want me to be so weak that I can't even maintain a human form in public, you can continue to let me try. Jinli. Her eyes lit up, and she stared at Lu Zhenjie with vigor. Can you become a prototype? The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiao Zheji. Chapter 636. Lu Zhenjie. For some reason, he felt that Jinli looked a little dangerous now. He couldn't help shrinking his small body to the other side, and said vigilantly, no, I won't change. Joke. Pixiu's real body, except when fighting, will only be revealed in front of his closest partner, let alone more intimate interactions, such as snuggling and smoothing hair. Jinli felt very sorry to see him resisting. Asterisk. It was already afternoon when he brought Lu Zhenjie back home. After dinner, Lu Zhenjie started to yawn. He always appears extra lethargic. Jinli knew his special situation and didn't think it was strange. Lan Ting, on the other hand, was a little worried. When the young master came last night, he just slept extra heavily. Today is also the case. He started to feel sleepy so early. She was very worried if there was something wrong with Lu Zhenjie's body. Jinli comforted her and gave her a random reason. He had a serious illness not long ago. Although he has recovered now, he is still not as energetic as an ordinary child. So this is Lan Ting looked at Lu Zhenjie with even more pity. She was a simple girl, she believed what Jinli said, and advised Lu Zhenjie to go to bed early. Lu Zhenjie, who was propped up on the dining table, glanced sideways at the human being, and coldly commented in his heart, It's very easy to be fooled, stupid. However, he was clearly aware of his physical condition, so he didn't push himself hard. He walked to the second floor, went to the guest room very consciously, and lay down on the bed after washing up. He fell into a dark sleep almost instantly. Asterisk. Evening, 10:30. The light in Jinli's room was already dimmed. She was a little fairy who paid great attention to health preservation, although there was no such thing as a fairy who said that she stayed up all night or not. Lan Ting, a girl with internet addiction, plays with her mobile phone in her room. No one noticed that in the guest room on the second floor, a pair of silver-gray eyes quietly opened. Lu Zhenjie, who woke up from this room again, was much calmer than the night before. He didn't get up from the bed in a hurry, but seriously recalled what happened to this body during the day. He understood now. During the day, he will turn into the appearance of a 3,000-year-old cub, whether it is body or memory. And at night, he will restore all his memories, except that his body still looks like the child. Jinli didn't know why this was the case, but he probably knew something about it himself. He came to this world after many calamities, so he shouldn't have remembered everything so quickly. Because of meeting Jinli, the sealed soul was affected. Coupled with the stimulation of the monster from hell, the soul broke through the seal beyond common sense and awakened its memory in advance. The result of this is that although he played handsomely for 3 minutes, there are still many sequelae in the follow-up. His sealed huge soul and power burst out suddenly. Even though this body was transformed into his own god body at the first time, it was only in the form of a cub and couldn't bear it at all. Therefore, the appearance and strength have degenerated to what they were when they were 3,000 years old, and the same is true for the power of the soul. This body cannot fully bear the spirit of Pixie for thousands of years, so it is divided into 2 parts. During the day, he doesn't remember anything. Only at night will he be a complete Lu Zhenjie. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiao Zhaji. Chapter 637. Wanting to understand this episode, Lu Zhenjie began to recall how he and Jinli got along during the day. Thinking about it, he felt something was wrong. Jinli kissed her trumpet, Lu Zhenjie. Jinli took the hand of the trumpet, Lu Zhenjie. Jinli hugged her trumpet, Lu Zhenjie. Jinli even picked out a lot of clothes for him and bought him desserts. Excessive. When he was a boyfriend, he never enjoyed such an honor. A 3,000-year-old kid who doesn't understand anything and isn't handsome, why should he? Although it is clear intellectually, he is himself. But during the day, it was the little Lu Zhenjie who had no other memories. Strictly speaking, he wasn't his complete self. All in all, not happy anymore. In the middle of the night, Boss BA was so tangled up in bed that he couldn't sleep. No. Why give all the benefits to that little brat? I also want. He was about to get up from the bed and go to Jinli's room. But just as his legs were on the ground, he stopped hesitantly. No. If he ran over like this, Jinli would drive himself out. Now he is an ex-boyfriend. Because of Lu Zhenjie's sentence, I don't have a boyfriend when he was 3,000 years old. Thinking about it this way, Boss BA is very wronged, especially wronged. Why, it was the 3,000-year-old cub Lu Zhenjie who made the mistake, but he had to bear the mistake himself. He said something wrong, but Jinli still hugged and held him high, and bought and bought. But he didn't do anything and was kicked out of the room. Little Zhengtai showed a sense of vicissitudes that was completely incompatible with his age. Don't say that there is unfairness between people and gods. Both yourself and yourself are unfair, who has seen it? If Jinli were here and saw his expression, he would be able to tell him the answer, because you are not as cute as Lu Zhenjie in the daytime. The 3,000-year-old cub, Lugenja, is so cute. You big pigs trotters with old wine in new bottles, go away. Asterisk. The overlord stood on the floor with his bare, fat little feet and thought for a while, before he finally came up with a solution. In the silence of the night, in the darkness, the door of the guest room was opened a crack. A small silver-gray ball radiating brilliance appeared in the darkness. It was a small beast no bigger than an adult's head. Its long hair was fluffy and soft. It blinked a pair of big foggy eyes and looked down at itself. Well, the hair is beautiful and the shape is perfect. At 3,000 years old, I still have some redeeming qualities. Boss BA blinked his beautiful big eyes again, without the slightest sense of guilt that the long-lived old man pretended to be tender, and happily knocked open Jinli's door. Jinli was awakened. In her sleep, she clearly felt that something broke into her territory. Opening his eyes, Jinli's sharp gaze fell on the intruder. There was a beautiful little dumpling squatting on the carpet, blinking innocent eyes and looking at her. Jinli gasped. Although, this little guy doesn't have glowing scales. But he has shiny silver-gray fur. Flesh, timid, the big silver-gray eyes seemed to hide the starry sky. Lugenja, she called hesitantly. The next moment, the little beast squatting on the carpet kicked hard with its hind legs, jumped up, and crashed into her arms like a small cannonball. Jinli was pushed back by the force and fell on the bed. The little pixie didn't bother her at all, just nestled quietly in the crescent of her neck, gently sweeping her long tail, very well behaved. Boss BA, I got into Jinli's bed with my strength, pretty cute. 3 more, see you later. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiao Zhaji. Chapter 638. Jinli's vigilant heart relaxed, and she laughed, bringing in suddenly scared me. With a flick of her hand, the door closed quietly. The cub's hair was soft and fluffy, clean like the smell of grass in the sun after the rain, and it didn't feel uncomfortable to be leaned against like this. Jinli lazily raised his hand and stroked the hair ball. It feels so good. She couldn't help but reached out and stroked again. Lugenja, who was lying on her neck, froze as a whole animal. Covered by fluffy hair, no one could notice that his entire animal skin was turning red. Jinli, doesn't she know what this action means? Pixio is a proud and cleanliness race. Outside of battles, he will not easily reveal his true form to anyone except his identified partner. As for intimate actions such as grooming, it is something that only Taoist couples are allowed to do. And Lugenja thought a little shyly, usually, under normal circumstances, Pixio's Taoist companion takes the initiative to smooth his hair, but it's actually, cough. He was woken up in his sleep, but now that he relaxed, Jinli's drowsiness swept over him again. She gently ran down the fluffy hair of this Pixio with one hand, while closing her eyes comfortably, she was about to fall asleep. Wait a moment. Something seems wrong. She tried not to let herself fall into sleep. What was wrong? Forget it, don't care about it. 1 second before his consciousness fell into a sweet dream, it seemed like a tiny lightning flashed in his mind. Jinli suddenly opened his eyes wide. She knows what's wrong. The hand that was gently stroking the little animal's fur suddenly changed its gesture and picked up the nape of his neck. Lugenja. Instinctively, he almost showed his claws to catch the guy who suddenly attacked him, but halfway he remembered that it was Jinli. The claws froze in mid-air. Jinli sat up, and the lights in the room turned on at the same time. She squinted her eyes and looked at the little beast in front of her, and finally realized what was the reason for the seemingly non-existent sense of disobedience. Lugenja, she called him with a firm tone. She recognized it. This was the complete Lugenja, not the 3,000-year-old cub in the daytime. Lugenja was not surprised that he was recognized. In fact, he was a little happy to be recognized. This at least proves that Jinli knows him well enough, doesn't it? He blinked his big beautiful eyes and called out softly, Jinli, it's me. It's a pity, if this call was called out by the real Pai Yao, it must be a gentle and sexy call, but it was called out by the cub who was born with milk at the moment. Besides being tender, it is still tender. It is absolutely impossible for any kind of magnetic seductiveness to exist. Lu Zhenjie sighed in his heart. Jinli couldn't lose his temper against such a group of cubs. She threw the ball in her hand on the quilt, and snorted, why are you in this state? As expected, there is drama. President Ba's eyes lit up, he crawled forward with short legs, and hugged Jinli's hand on the quilt. I have memories of the day. Don't you want to see my animal shape? He doesn't want to, I do. He began to put idro. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiao Zheji. Chapter 639. Jinli looked down at the ex-boyfriend. She understands his little thoughts. However, the cub Pixiu is so pretty. Want to masturbate? She snorted coldly, aren't you ashamed to be cute as a cub? Hearing these words, Lu Zhenjie knew that there was a place for him to stay overnight. What is Jinli's personality? What she didn't like, she could throw him out without saying a word, refer to the little fairy fish who ruthlessly drove him to the guest room last night. At this moment, she just complained a few words. Obviously, the plan to become a prototype to sell cute was a success. Lu Zhenjie started talking nonsense without changing his face. I recovered all my memories at night, this 3,000-year-old body can't bear it, which is why I only have 3,000-year-old memories during the day. You should understand this. In this case, it will be easier for me to become a prototype at night. Except for the last sentence, all the previous words are true. The smart beast speaks like this, true and false, knows how to fight for its own interests, and even passes the steps to Xiaoxianyu. Jinli really snorted, you change as you please, why are you running into my room? Lu Zhenjie rolled on the spot, showing the charm of the cub's body in all directions, and then said slowly, I want to see the little fairy. It's me who wants to see the little fairy, not the little fairy who wants to see my prototype. After possessing the memory of Pixiu, Father Lu, the straight man of steel, finally learned to speak. Sure enough, Jinli's face began to waver. Seeing her expression, Lu Zhenjie continued, it's very comfortable to sleep with me in your arms. I promise I won't do anything or make trouble for you. You can just use me as a pillow. Jinli's eyes were glued to him. Lu Zhenjie thought a little bit carefully, turned his weak divine power, and the silver gray hair that was already emitting a faint light became brighter. Sure enough, Jinli's eyes brightened. Okay Jinli, let go, you can sleep here with me, but it's an agreement, be good, or I'll throw you out. Okay, Lu Zhenjie replied quite simply. Just kidding, being able to sleep in the same bed as Jinli was a huge improvement compared to before. He is already infinitely satisfied with such a situation. Where else would you want more? The point is, with his current body, even if he dares to think, he can only think about it, he can't do anything. The lights in the room were turned on again. Lu Zhenjie lay quietly beside Jinli. Sleeping next to a hairball is really a very sleepy thing. Satisfied, Jinli reached out to stroke the smooth and soft fur, muttered something, and soon closed his eyes and fell into his hometown. It's been a long time. The little beast that had been obediently lying on the edge of the pillow moved. He moved his body quietly, getting closer to Jinli. The tip of her young nose cautiously moved over and rubbed against Jinli's pretty nose before she curled it up in the crest of her neck, her tail quietly stretched out and wrapped around her wrist. This is a hooked hold onto each other and never give up. The silvery moonlight outside the window poured down, falling on the one man and one beast in this dream, quiet and peaceful, infinitely beautiful. Asterisk. Jinli was woken up by a series of calls. She stretched out her hand to touch the phone in a daze, but she missed the phone and touched a soft ball of hair. Well. She took a look with half-opened eyes. Ah, it's Lucinda. 5 more. It should be able to come out one more time. See you later. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiao Zheji. Chapter 640. The hand continued to stretch out over there, and finally touched the phone. The caller is Miss Cheng. Sister Cheng plus calling early in the morning plus several times in a row equals not good. Jinli hesitated for a while, quietly hoping that Sister Cheng would give up if she didn't answer the call. However, such a thing is obviously impossible. The screen lit up again. Jinli sighed, and resigned herself to the connection. Sister Cheng, what's wrong? The woman on the opposite side was obviously a little irritable. I also want to ask you what's wrong? You took a child to the mall yesterday, right? It was photographed by the media. Who is that child? Sister Cheng felt that her menopause was about to come out early. She had just finalized a series of contracts with the endorsement side, and she felt that Jinli's future was going smoothly and was very comfortable, so this incident broke out on Weibo. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that Jinli did it every time. Always quiet and well behaved, when she was relieved, suddenly there was a big news. Jinli. She looked at the tail sweeping on the bed, like a little beast that was disturbed, and replied, oh, that child, he is Lucinda, a relative. Sister Cheng asked sharply, a simple relative of Lucinda, or an illegitimate child? Jinli. The 3,000-year-old Lucinda who just woke up and just heard the sentence because his ears are too sensitive. Woke up and I became my own son? Jinli almost choked on her breath. She wanted to laugh but was helpless. What illegitimate child? And which media is making it up? Sister Cheng was not so easy to convince. She was suspicious. Is it really a nonsense? Then tell me, who are your relatives? Jinli lowered her head and met Xiaoshao's silver-gray eyes. This, I don't know too well. She hasn't made up the identity of the cub Lucinda yet. Fortunately, she didn't say that. Because the next moment, Sister Cheng sneered, can't you tell? What kind of relative? Today, Mr. Lu's 2 elder brothers posted Weibo to refute the rumors. No one in the Lu family has such a relative. Besides, what? How can such a relative look more like him than Mr. Lu's own brothers? This facial features, appearance, and temperament, apart from being more refined and beautiful, are produced in the same mold as Mr. Lu. Jinli. Lucinda was originally Pixiu's body in the world, and his facial features were roughly similar. Isn't that normal? She sighed, these media are really busy. Sister Cheng's words came out like a cannonball, it's not idle, people rely on this to eat. Hearing your tone, you haven't read Weibo yet, have you? Do you know that you are on the trending search again? The home page is you take the picture of the child buying clothes, and eating desserts together. Now the internet is saying that you are rushing to be your stepmother, and now you can't wait to please other young masters. Sister Cheng has a headache. In fact, there are quite a few things about actresses marrying wealthy families and becoming stepmothers. Even for an ordinary female star, this kind of thing is even a proud thing to brag about. But Jinli and Lucinda were not the same. Lucinda's image in the outside world has always been a model of aloofness, abstinence, and cleanliness. His previous pursuit and maintenance of Jinli on the internet also brought the two of them a lot of CP fans. Many netizens said that the two were make them believe in love again. Now, as soon as the illegitimate child came out, netizens collectively exploded. Overlord, I don't think I'm miserable like a overlord, smiley face. 6. The update is over, good night everyone. Looking for a monthly ticket, please. The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess. Author, Su Xiao Zheji. Chapter 641. He, I thought that Mr. Lu was a clear stream among the rich, and I sincerely wished him and Jin Li, but who knew that even the illegitimate child came out quietly. I feel sorry for Jin Li. When Mr. Lu pursued Jin Li, I cheered them on. Men are indeed big pigs. Ha, what are the fans jumping for? What family status is the Lu family? If he can marry into a wealthy family, Jin Li will reach the sky in one step. Mr. Lu is young, handsome, and rich. What is a child? So many female stars who married a 40-year-old man and became stepmothers of 3 or 4 children, what did they say? Yeah, look at the photo. Jin Li is very attentive in helping to buy clothes and food. She is very happy to be the stepmother, and she can't wait to be recognized by the young master. Why are you fans so distressed here? Disappointed, looking at Jin Li's appearance, I really don't mind at all. The little fairy in my mind would definitely not wrong herself so much for marrying a wealthy family. Crooked, I think, the young master of the Lu family looks so good looking, so exquisite. The above is what Jin Li saw when she opened Weibo after chatting with Sister Ching. Sister Ching is on the way to kill her right now. After watching it for a while, Jin Li lowered his head and looked at the cub Lu Zhenjia, who was still lazily lying on the bed. Aren't you up yet? The cub Lu Zhenjia was about to stand up subconsciously. Doesn't feel right? He was lying on the soft bed before, and he hadn't woken up much yet, so he didn't even react. But now, he lowered his head in bewilderment, and saw his little silver gray paws. Cub Lu Zhenjia. How did I become like this? Jin Li. Well, the current Lu Zhenjia is the 3,000-year-old baby Lu Zhenjia. You became like this last night and ran into my room, she explained. Cub Lu Zhenjia. He was puzzled and shy, but. Jin Li, but what? The cub said dryly, but we Peixiu, under normal circumstances, only show our real body in front of Taoist companions. Jin Li was stunned for a moment, remembering Lu Zhenjia, who didn't say anything last night, raised his eyebrows. Tisk, scheming beast. Facing such a 3,000-year-old cub in front of her, what could she say? I can't even talk about teasing. I don't know the rules of your Pixiu. If you don't want to turn into a beast, you can change back, Jin Li said. She thought for a while, and then added, no, you have to change back now. My manager is coming, and Lanting is also at home. If you don't change back, I can't explain why such a big person disappeared. The cub Lu Zhenjia was relieved to see that she didn't take his phrase, only revealing her true body in front of her Taoist companion, to heart at all, but also felt a little depressed and aggrieved for no reason. Do you just not care? He suddenly felt a little sad, and lay on the bed moaning. Jin Li, who had already changed her clothes with one touch, turned her head to see that little Pixiu was still lying under the quilt. She urged, get up and eat. I have to solve the problem that you have become my illegitimate child for no reason. The cub Lu Zhenjia's ears perked up. By the way, there is this matter. He wasn't lazy anymore. With a silver light flashing on his body, he turned into a 7 or 8-year-old young lady again, and got up from the bed with a grunt. Asterisk. 3 minutes later, Jin Li and the miniature version of Lu Zhenjia were sitting in the restaurant eating. 20 minutes later, Sister Ching arrived. One big and one small sat across from her, looking at each other.